Welcome to the Tactical Business Podcast. I am your host, Wade Skalsky, and today I am speaking with Thomas King Jr. Mr. King, how are you doing today?
You?
I'm doing good.
Great. Yeah.
I'm doing good. I debated if I was going to drop the junior in there, but I think it adds like an extra level of authority because the more things you can put on your name. So I decided to give it to you.
Having Junior on my mail or credit cards or whatever actually helped out because my dad, I would get all his mail and other people's the same name. So having that on there helped out a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of a common name, right? So the good news is, oh, look at that. What's the name of your, is that Thomas, the Junior the third, or Thomas Jones, or Thomas King the third?
That's him. That's a Panda. It's short for pandemonium because he's a crazy little puppy. He was supposed to go to doggy daycare today, but I brought him into work today. So I'm upstairs in my office and I'm just watching the cameras of all the people shooting downstairs. So.
Well, we could have an entire episode of just going through what's in your office, and I will have questions. I will have questions about some of the stuff back there for sure. But let's talk a little bit about kind of like your origin story, how you got into firearms. What was the journey that took you to where you are now?
Crazy story. My dad was in the military. He was in the Army, and he would take me on I-4. We'd drive down to go to Walt Disney World. And he would always stop off and just park anywhere on I-4. And we'd go out in the woods and he'd find some bottles or cans and he'd set them up and start shooting them. And he'd bring a 9mm or 45. And the first time he let me shoot I was 5 years old, a 9mm. And I thought, wow, that's the coolest thing ever. And then when later I was about 7, I went to Mary Help Christian School camp. And every year I'd go there. We would, there was a shooting team there. So they teach you how to shoot rifles. So I got my marksman, pro marksman, gold bar, first class, all that stuff. And I just thought it was really cool. So later in life, I started doing like competitions and stuff. And then I worked on the bond trading floor at the firm of Raymond James and Associates for like 9 years. And after leaving there, I wanted to spend just some years with my son before he went off to college. I just saw, we would go out shooting a lot as well, but I just saw how the Second Amendment was so under attack that I thought I should just do something about it. So I wanted to open a store that was just going to really be so Pro-2A that you couldn't help, but even if you didn't like guns, that you're going to like this store. So my store, I don't know if you've seen it or seen the videos or the parties that we throw, but it's not like any other gun store. We made it like fun, and it's like a museum, actually. It's kind of like, but with superheroes and monsters and all kinds of crazy stuff. So it doesn't have dead animals everywhere around the building like most gun stores. And that's cool and everything. It's just, I just thought I'd go a different route. And what we started was we wanted to make sure that we did free training for the kids. So we offer free training, free classes, free competitions for kids, and it includes all the ammo, the firearm, the target. We wanted to make our next generation educated on how they are going to know about respect and honor of a firearm and not to use it again in any kind of deadly situation. And once they learn the rules and about the abilities that they can do and how much fun it is, they too could see that it's not some crazy thing only used to go out and hunt people down. And we made it to where it's a competition like the Olympics. The Olympics, one of the oldest sports, is shooting. So we wanted people to know this is a great, fun sport. Also, it can be used for home defense and to protect your family and your life. But it's not just about the negativity that the media portrays and the politicians portray. And it's just so much more educating when you come and you sit down and you actually learn about the firearm, what it can do, how to hold, load, aim, and shoot a firearm correctly, safely, and accurately.
Yeah, well, okay, so there's a ton to unpack there. First of all, kudos to your dad for taking you out when you were 5, because that's aggressive. 5 years old is aggressive, so I love it. And
it was aggressive, but you know what? The one thing in my life that I didn't forget was that will always be stuck in my head. And that was our bonding moment. Later in life, too, was going with my dad to the shooting range. He didn't like hardly any things I did, racing cars or models. But when he said, "Hey, let's go shooting," we all got up and we all went shooting with my dad.
Yeah, no, and I think, you hit so many themes on the head of what the show is developing, my podcast is developing into is that the need to convert people to the to 2A, Pro 2A has never been greater than now, right? So for example, I live in Virginia. Our governor just had a veto an assault, a assault weapons bill that came up there. And I think it's so important for people to understand that there is a heritage from family to family, and there's a culture. And the more people that we can bring into that culture, it's not just for today, but it's for 100 years from now.
Right. And I really want to portray. So I deal closely with, our community. We throw the craziest parties. We did one. You ever seen Squid Games?
Yeah, and that the Netflix movie.
Netflix.
Yeah.
So we just had Squid Games outside here. You had to play all these parts and these crazy fun games. We had hundreds and hundreds of people playing. And the top three won like ARs and pistols. And we threw all these great fun parties. We did a zombie apocalypse party. Everyone was a zombie, and we were the zombies. They were the humans. And the people that survived won guns and stuff. So we throw all these crazy fun parties. And it's to educate people, to let them know, there's 10,000 members that we have. They come here, shoot. We've never had a problem. No one's ever gone crazy. So people go, oh, wow, you know what? There's thousands and thousands of guns around me and no one's hurting anyone. When we have like our Black Friday sale, we used to have to get porta potty. People would sleep out here in front of our door for 4 days. And it was, kid you not, it was ridiculous. And because of the sales that we're throwing, and I'd always go out there and say, thank you for making this the safest parking lot in America, because there was 1,000 people wrapped around the building waiting in line to get into our Black Friday sale. So it was pretty crazy. And they all realized nothing bad happened. No one was mean. No one was pushing. No one was cutting in line. It was just a friendly, fun, great time.
Yeah, well, the Second Amendment doesn't have a gun problem. It has a messaging problem. Right.
Sure enough.
And that's the thing, is that one of the things that makes these stories so valuable and meeting people like you is to see is that the firearm owner is such a broad category that it is such a large tent that it is big enough for anyone that wants to learn to use guns safely.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. There's some people that are just so terrified. So we do 40 different types of classes with 20 different instructors. But we also take you from beginner, picking up the firearm, just learning how to hold it, to all the way to grandmaster. And you can take that progression course within the year. And it's like, we try to make it as educational, fun, but affordable as possible. So it's $55 per course. And what I have ladies that come in, they're 70 years old. They cried picking up the firearm. They were terrified, never even want, but their husbands wanted them to learn. They're learning at 70-something years old, right? And when they picked it up, they're like, oh, they're shaking. And at the end of the session, they're like, can we buy more ammo? That was just so fun. And now they've taken every court. They're grandmaster shooters. They draw out and shoot 4 shots, center mass in under 1 second. They can move through rooms, shoot bad guys, bowling pins, still targets, balloons. And I asked them, said, can you please come to our competition night one night? And you don't have to pay for anything. I just want you to show them what you've learned in these classrooms. And they're like, no, I'm so scared. I don't want to do that. I'm like, no, it'll just be fun. Just have a good time. Do what you learned. So they went out there, and there's these guys with these infinity pistols, and they load their own ammo. And they've been shooting competitions for 10 years. She smoked every single one of these guys. They thought her gun was a trick gun, and they wanted to shoot it and test it, and kid you not. So they said, well, how long have you been shooting? She said, not that long. And they thought this was like they're on Canon camera. But then they found out that she was taking these courses here. So of course, they all wanted to sign up, and now they're all in these courses because they just never really had their own firearm training courses. They just watched online videos. But how we actually do it, how we train you to shoot so fast and accurate, is a whole different level. And I don't see that on YouTube and all these things like that. But it's just anyone could basically do it, as long as they're healthy enough to do it and they have the drive and willingness to do it.
Yeah, and I think this is really shows the benefit of brick and mortar in the firearms industry. So, the internet is great. And I love some of the big players. Like I'm a big PSA fan, and I think they're awesome, and I
Sure.
buy from them and everything. But I support my local gun store. I'm a member there at the range and everything. And the training that you can get from a in-person training, all it does is make my family safer. And that is what we will always have a need for, is the training aspect of firearms, because and again, it's a messaging problem. Too many people think, okay, I'll buy a gun and I'm safe, right? And
Right.
that's not true at all. It's you're not safe until you can safely know how to handle a gun, store it, and use it in an emergency situation because you've had enough reps to do so, in my opinion. I don't know how
Right.
you. Go
That's
ahead.
a big one for us. So during COVID, so many people came in. They're like, I hate guns. This is what they tell. I never wanted to own a gun, but I think I have to have a gun right now. And we're like, well, have you ever done any training or education on any firearm? No. Well, we highly suggest you take the training courses first, and then you could use the rentals and try all these different firearms. Will help you out on which kind you really need, but you need to try them all to see which one you like, so you're not spending your money getting something you don't like. And then you go ahead and make your purchase. Nope, just want to buy a gun. I don't want any training. I'm like, sir, you're going to hurt yourself or someone else, and you're going to feel horrible for the rest of your life, and you can't take that back. And then they go, you know what, you're right, I should. I mean, it's just like the same thing. If I'm gonna give the keys to some kid and go, hey, go drive on our interstate US 19 out here, he's probably gonna hurt someone or himself, or even worse. So get to that point where you're very comfortable with the firearm. It's kind of like what I talk about with most instructors. We'll talk about muscle memory, and we want you to have this firearm to where it's muscle memory. You're not thinking about step one, step two, drawing out, step three, and all these things. You're thinking about, is this a threat? And do I have to eliminate? Is my life in immediate danger? That's all you're thinking about. You already have your firearm pressed out. You're already locked on target. You're already staging your trigger. All you're thinking about is my life now in danger? And that's where it needs to come to. Like when you first drove your car, you push the gas pedal. You're like, whoa, going 50, going 40, going 50, going 60. You didn't know. And now when you get in your car, do you even think, oh, I got to push my foot down this hard to go 40 miles per hour? You don't even think about it. You're just doing it. You don't even have to look at your speedometer at all. You know, basically, you're going 40 miles per hour because you've done it a million times. And you don't think, up in 400 feet, I got to put my blinker on in 3, 2, 1. No, you just do it. Well, in Florida, they don't really use their blinkers. So most of them don't. So, but you just do it. It's muscle memory. You don't have to think about anything. All you're thinking about is keeping your car on the road, not hitting anyone, right? That's the same thing with a firearm. Once you get to that training level, you should be good to go. And just all you need to do is hone in your skills.
Well, you wouldn't, to use the car analogy, right, or the driving analogy, you wouldn't put yourself behind the wheel of a semi, like a fully loaded semi, and drive that thing around if you've never had any training on how to do it, right?
100%.
And that's basically what a firearm is you're strapping yourself into a semi and you're going to drive it cross country, right? And so, there are guys that are really good at it, but that's because they've got the miles in, they've had the training, and it's the same thing for firearms. And I think you hit on the nail on the head with regards to like training for the kids. So I took a hunter safety course. I grew up in North Dakota, and I took a hunter safety course in like whatever it is, fifth grade, whatever, sixth grade,
Right.
whatever. And that course, the rules from that course, I cannot tell you how many unloaded guns in my life I have unloaded because of that course, right? And
Right.
and that's the thing is that it's not that these things are complicated. It's just you have to know them, and you just have to live your life in that certain way. Like how, just run me through a little bit for the training with the kids. Like how's that going? I love that you guys do that for free. In terms of what are some of the things that you're seeing or are happening? Are the parents benefiting from it, having the kids do it? Or what are some of the kind of the things that are unexpectedly happening from that?
Right. So we took a little sabbatical because it became so huge that we wanted to open another range specifically outdoors, 100% just for the kids. So it's all training, all free, all the time. And what we do right now is we have the kids come in. We only take so many kids per class because we want to really focus on each kid. And their parent, of course, has to be in there. And our local news channel actually did a huge story on it because it blew up so big that the news channel actually said something good about firearm training. So the kids come in and we have a little test for them, some stuff, but we talk about the firearm and we talk about, most of you have seen it in the movies or played a video game where you shoot it. It is nothing like that. And then they realize when they really go out onto the range and they shoot a firearm 22 caliber pistol or sometimes a rifle, they go, wow, that was nothing like what we thought it would be in the movies or in a video game. And as far as we know, there's recoil to a firearm. There's noise. It moves the gun. So in the video games and movies, it's nothing like that. Sometimes we let them use a suppressor, but they shoot so many rounds at a target so far away. But we go over how to hold, load, aim, and shoot the firearm. And we talk about the safeties. And this is the big part that we really focus on. If you come across a firearm at a friend's house or another, they don't know what they're doing. And they are going to grab it and grab that trigger, and somebody's going to get hurt. So you have to be the most responsible person and say, hey, I have a firearm training. Don't touch that firearm. And you got to contact the father, because if you don't, and you leave, well, then another kid may come over and then they grab it and play with it, and boom, someone's going to get hurt. So you are going to be the hero saving the kid that day. Say, hold on, let me contact my dad, because there's sometimes, like, let's say you're cleaning your firearm and you're about to, and you're about to take the magazine out, and you just got the call from the hospital that your kid just broke his arm at school, and you run off. Well, your kid's still there, and he sees this firearm. If he doesn't have any kind of training, he's going to pick it up. And 9 times out of 10, when they grab that firearm, their finger always goes on the trigger. It's just an automatic thing. And that's, of course, one of the number one rules is don't put your finger on the trigger. But they do. They grab it and boom, it goes off. And now they have a discharged firearm, and you don't even know where it's pointing at. It could be at your neighbor's house. It could be at them when they're looking at it. So that's where people get hurt. So that's so important for us to focus on that. And then at the end, we go through, make them take an oath about keeping the safety, about the rules about the firearm, and to contact someone or your family if you come across a firearm, so no one gets hurt and you become a hero.
Yeah. And I think it's important for parents to understand is teaching your kids about firearms is a skill that they will have for their entire life, even if they don't shoot. So, and I'll give you an example. So I was in college, I was at a party, and there were some adult beverages being had. I won't lie to you, but there was like a pistol, and I don't remember what it was. I think it was a Glock or something. And there was just laying around, and someone was like, holy smokes, there's this, and they handed it to me, and I knew what to do with it. Right. And so, obviously as I unloaded it and I took it somewhere and I separated the ammunition, but what if nobody knew what to do with, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's a true story. It's like, I don't know why that they thought it was okay to hand to me, but because I wasn't I'm a firearms guy, but they gave it to me. Like, what do we do with this? And it's a long story why it was there, but stuff like that actually happens. I mean, that's not outside the realm of possibility. And that is a skill that these kids will have their whole life to be able to handle those situations.
Well, somehow God put you in that way because you saved someone's life that day. Probably someone would have picked that up and had no idea and go, hey, look, guys, and it goes off.
Well, they might have thought it was a play gun or something.
Right, and made it a joke. And you know how many times people get shot every year because they don't know what they're doing and they hurt themselves? The statistics that people listen to when I talk to people, or people come up and say, why do you think you should own a firearm, or blah, blah, blah. It's just astounding to me what people, the information that they get from Twitter or Facebook or from the news even sometimes. So I'll ask them, well, how many people do you think a couple years ago got shot by a rifle? And they say 100,000 people. And it's actually 396 people. So you are 19 times more likely to either be stabbed by a knife or by a hammer. So should we ban hammers and knives? 19 times more like, they're like, that's not the shit. And I will print, I have it printed out. And then okay, overall, all rifles, all handguns, how many people were killed by a firearm? And they say 300,000 last year. And it actually is pretty high. It was like 30,000. But 30,000, you take 60% of that, that's from suicides that they shot. They add that in there. And then you take the police officers that shot bad guys, is added in there. So you take another like 30% of that off. And then you take the gang related. So the actual people that went around shooting people with a firearm was pretty minuscule compared to anything else. But they just, once you educate people and go, that's not what I heard. I heard like 300,000 people, but it's just simply not true. And if you are getting your facts from Facebook or something like that, I wish they had fact checked that, but I've read them and I have FBI statistics. And if you look at the CDC, their reports come out, it said that over 500,000 to 3 million people that year used a firearm to save a life. So that is significantly different. And you can look the statistics up, but now they're trying to take those statistics down because they don't want people to really know that firearms can be used for good. And if you really think that the AR or these firearms are so bad, should police officers not have them or our military not have them to protect our borders? We're protecting our family and our lives. That's the same exact thing. And we don't even have the same equipment that they have as an AR or an M4.
Yeah, well, it's a messaging problem, right? There's really no difference between a 22 and an AR. It's the same mechanism. It's not, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
It's
in
22
terms of,
caliber.
yeah, exactly, right. And so,
53.
well, yeah, you can have an AR on a 22, an AR platform on 22 caliber if you wanted to, and you can do anything with it. That's what's so great about it. But yeah, and I think the other thing too is that if you like the statistics, it's a messaging problem. Look at how many people that are like concealed carry licensed. And the amount of crime that is committed by like a firearms crime, though, right? Maybe like, okay, like I get a drunk driving accident or whatever, right? Not me personally, but like, I have like a CCW person commits a crime. It's not firearms related. The statistics are so low for licensed carriers that you would, if it was, if causation was an issue, you'd want everyone to have a firearm, and it's just a messaging problem. And I think that's why, people who have that approach that you guys have of making it fun but educational and then generational, I think is a great approach.
Yeah, that's how we keep the Second Amendment alive, is through the next generation. But they have to have the respect and honor for the firearm, and that's what we want to bring back. When in school, every kid had the rifle there. No one hurt anyone. Back in the day, people used to go to school with their rifle, they're in their back of their truck, or they would go. This little dog's all acting up. So you would have a rifle in the back of their truck, and the teachers would come out and go, "Oh, look what you get! Let me see it!" And they were all cool. They weren't school shootings. So there's something more to what's going on today with the mental health issue. It could be a number of things, but it is not a firearm that's doing it. It is the person behind the firearm. And I don't understand why people don't realize that. We could say the same thing for alcohol. Should we ban all alcohol? There's so many alcohol-related deaths. There's so many car-related deaths because they're texting. Should we ban phones or cars? No, there's not. So you have to go after the source and really talk about that, and then show the good side of what a firearm has been doing. I want my police officer to show up with a firearm if someone breaks into my house. I don't want them to come there with a nightstick because they're going to get shot, right? If we banned every single firearm in the cold country and no one had one, who's going to have one? The bad guy's going to have one. We're not. And they're going to be like, yes, I can go break into anywhere I want because I now am the only one to have a firearm. We protect our president with the firearm. We protect sporting events with the firearm. We protect our courts with the firearm. Any government building with the firearm, our jewelry stores with firearms, any store with the firearm. But at schools, we put a no gun free zone here. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. We protect all them with a firearm, but we don't want to protect our kids with a firearm. That's what keeps you safe. And that's why they have this saying, if you want peace, you have to prepare for war.
Well, and I agree with you is there's no police officer has ever stopped a home invasion. 99% of home invasions, they're cleaning up the mess and they're getting there after everything's already done or whatever bad has happened has happened. So if some crazy person is, there was a 7-Eleven that was like down the street, right? Like I live in a residential area, but we're kind of close to like there's a little mini mart or whatever over here, and that got robbed like in the morning. And there was some dude, they said, that was running around the neighborhood was armed. And so if I don't have a firearm in my house, what am I supposed to do if that guy is running from the cops and kicks his door and comes to my house? Like, I have a stick, right? Like, or I'm gonna hit him with a bat. Like, no. So, and I think and again, we come back to the same thing. It's a messaging problem. Like people don't understand that it's the solution is there's going to be second and third and fourth order effects, even if you ban guns and make it impossible for normal people to have them.
100%. And with so many people coming across the border and not having food, not having a job, and the drugs coming across, and people getting addicted to these things, we do a free seminar for how to make you and your home a hard target during a home invasion, what you can and cannot do, what you must do to protect yourself and your house. And that class fills up within seconds, just like our kids' free safety class. As soon as it goes up, boom, it's filled up. It is so important for people to understand, even if you don't have a firearm, don't want to use a firearm, this is what you need to do to protect your home. And there's a lot of home invasions that are happening right now. There's a lot of home invasions happening right now. There was over every 2 seconds, there was a home invasion. That's over 2 million homes in the United States. It comes to the point where it's not if it's going to happen to you, it's when it's going to happen to you. So we tell you how to set your house up, not talking about spending thousands of dollars on cameras and lights, but when a bad guy comes to your house or walks by your house, he goes, not that one, I'm going to go to the next one. And how they are targeting your house. They even mark curbs to say, hey, hit this house. This is an easy house. Or they buy these little cameras that you can get at Walmart. They're hunting cameras. They can video you for a week in the bushes, just watching what time you get home, what time you eat dinner, what time you're not there, what time you're going to sleep at night. And you have a pattern. Most people have a pattern every day. They do the same exact thing. You have to switch it up. So they know, I know on Tuesday for 4 hours, you're not here at all. They don't want to be seen, right? They want to go into your house unsuspected, get the stuff they want and get out. I guarantee you, I can break into anyone's house and get away with it. You're not going to catch me. We tell you how they're going to break into your house. We want you to know how you reinforce your house. We go over just all these steps that you can do to protect your house. And even if you have a dog, they use your dog against you, believe it or not. You know what the number one deterrent is that they actually asked all these criminals in prison, the FBI and police department, what the number one deterrent for having someone not want to break into your house? You know what it is?
No, I don't. Tell me.
Most people have thought it was a big dog. And even myself, I thought it was a big dog. But this is what we also teach. It is having your bathroom light on in your house. They say having your porch light, everyone does that, and your garage light, whatever, or motion light, but no one ever leaves their bathroom light on. That means someone's in the home, someone's using the bathroom. Interesting, right? That's what they look for.
My bathroom light's going on now tonight.
I know. And you can set a timer on it, but there's just these little simple things that people, when they look at your house, they move right on. We did so. During all the civil unrest they had going on, there was Operation Defund the Police. So we were the only ones that started Operation Fund the Police, and we're really proud of that. We do a $250,000 giveaway to the police department. They're in our communities. Hey, man, those are the guys that make nothing to protect our lives. They have bullets shot them, right? So when we did this, we got death threats. We were pig lovers and all, It's funny that you would want to kill me, but because I'm offering safety for other people, right? It's so ironic to me. But the police department here, they're phenomenal. They're good people. I get there's bad police officers. I get that there's bad priests, there's bad attorneys, there's bad doctors, but you can't eliminate all of them. We need police officers, or we're going to go to anarchy here. So I want people to know they're there to protect you at your house, believe it or not. If you have a home invasion, of course, they're not going to be there to stop that 9 times out of 10. If they can get there quicker or they're really close by, of course. But they don't get paid enough money. There's not enough of them. So that's why they're scrambling to get to your house. They're going to try to get there to stop them. But it's up to you to be the first responder to stop a bad guy or threat. To protect your family, you're going to have to be the one to step up to eliminate it. And this is one thing that we go over with all the parents. There's a lot of men, believe it or not, that just say, I can't do it. I can't stop this threat. And the wife would say, I can. And you have to be truthful to yourself, because if not, then you're putting your whole family at risk. And you're going to have to live with every time you walk past the kitchen, that's where I shot that guy, and that could mentally take a turn on you. So we let you know what you have to prepare for. There's so much that goes into this, but we have to let you know, make sure you're mentally prepared to protect your family.
Well, and that's the training part that you talk about, right? Where it's like, if is my life in danger or my family's life in danger? And then once that decision is made in your brain, if you have the training, then everything else, you don't have to make any other decisions, right? So it's
Right.
like I'm drawing my weapon, I'm firing until this person's not a threat anymore. That's it. Like that's but people don't go through the mental part of the training, right? And so then they're you don't have time to react in those scenarios.
You don't. You have split seconds, and this is the part where you're going to fight for your life, your freedom, your finances. You never see the opposite side. After you eliminated your threat, they don't come and go, "Hey, great job! You saved your whole family. Good job." No, they come in and they do their assessment. They take down the information that they have. Was this a justified shooting? And now you got to pay $20,000 to $50,000 retainer to get an attorney to make sure that you're going to fight for your freedom. Now, was this a justified shooting? Nope. You know what? It was actually little Timmy that lived next door who was drunk that came into your house that thought it was his house. And because you didn't use some kind of identification, a flashlight, a light to see if he had a weapon in his hand or something, and you just started plugging away, they're going to call you a murderer. They're going to come after you. They're going to come after you all different angles. Oh, castle doctrine. You didn't have the means to escape. Did you go through the 4 deadly rules? Are you the victim here? Are you an innocent party here? Did you start a fight with someone and then run into your house? They're going to go through all these scenarios. So let's just say you're at a restaurant and this guy comes out and he starts shooting you outside and shooting at people, and you take out your firearm and you say, I am at risk of my life with great bodily harm or death or fear of death. I'm going to stop this threat. He's trying to kill me and other people, and you shoot your firearm, and he runs off. You call 911, and these are things that you have to know. If you call 911, you can't just say, "Hey, this guy came out and started shooting at me. I'm the victim," and blah blah blah. And you just let them know, "Hey, I'm at this location. I am wearing this. My name is this. There has been a shooting. Please come send someone." And then you hang up the phone. You don't, if whatever you say that is recorded, and it will be used or used against you too in the court of law. So your adrenaline is so flowing. We talk about adrenaline too and what happens to your brain. But if you're not saying the correct thing, then it's going to be used against you. So if the officer will come, he will do a Terry search on you. He legally can. He's coming there to protect you and to collect evidence. So let him check you to see if you have a weapon on. He doesn't know if you're the bad guy. You have your firearm down. You say, "Officer, you have your hands up. My weapon is right here. I actually discharged. There's some empty cases here. There's a witness over there, and there's a witness over here who saw the whole thing." Let them know 2 different angles. Because if I show you this, what do you see? You see a black bottle, right? Mm-hmm. And you see a little thing right here from over here. But the people over here, they see this whole thing and it has all this writing on it. So it's something totally different. So this guy over here could think that you're the bad guy. He took his firearm and he started shooting at this guy. We don't know why. But this guy over here could say, "I saw the whole thing. This guy ran out and started shooting at everybody. And this guy tried to protect everyone," meaning me, and the guy ran off. Well, they're going to ask you if they can search your car, or if they're at your house, "Can I search your house?" Even though you know you are safe and you have nothing in there, you have to let them know, "No, I can't let you search. I am going to plead the fifth. I want to cooperate 100% with you, and I will. I have to have my attorney here." Because if you say things that didn't jive up, let's just say you said, the guy came out and he ran right out in front of me, and I took my firearm, I started shooting at him, and I missed, and I saw that, so I reloaded and I put it back in there and I put my holster back. And then in court, you say, "Yeah, he came out and I shot at him twice, and then I just held my gun." Well, they're going to say, "Wow, you're a liar. You said you put your gun back in your holster and you reloaded." Did I say that? I don't remember saying that. No, you need to have your story 100% correct. And if they come into your car, you say, "Yeah, go check my car. I got nothing in there." If you have like a box of ammo, 1 box of ammo, we all know that's regular is 50 rounds in there. That's what we used to go practice with. The attorney on the other side, he just wants to win. He's going to say, "This person had enough ammo to kill 50 different people." And the people on the jury that don't know that that's just a regular standard 50-round box, they're gonna go, wow, that person's crazy. Or if you hurt your arm, broke your arm, and you had some pain medicine and one fell underneath the seat and the police officer found it, he's gonna write that down, not to hurt you, but the other attorney's gonna use that against. He had illegal drugs in his car, and now you're gonna look like a horrible, mean, evil 50 killing people with drugs. So you can't give anybody any kind of evidence or anything against you. Your attorney, if you have, like, there's many different kinds you can get. USCCA offers it, NRA offers it, US Law Shield offers it, depending on what you like and want. Those usually are like the price of a few Happy Meals a month, but that covers your attorney fees. And as soon as you call, you say, hey, there's been a shooting. I call 911, then I call my attorney, and then I call my family. Hey, I'm maybe not getting home right now.
Right.
Your attorney's going to tell you exactly what you can and cannot say. Don't say anything. I'm going to be right there. Wait for me. Don't say anything. And after you plead the fifth, the officer may ask you more questions and everything. Those can't be used against you because you plead the Fifth Amendment. But they may just say, "Well, what happened? Are you all right?" They're just concerned for you, and you're going to feel like, "Well, I got to tell you, yeah, this guy, I'm so worried. I don't even know this guy. He looked white, but he was Asian, but he was black, but he was." So you're going to say all these things that are mentally not in your head, right? Because your adrenaline is so far above what you're normally at that you're going to say things or see things that really didn't happen. So you got to get your attorney, then you make your statement to the police, and then you're going to go to court to make sure that it was a justified shooting.
Well, you don't have to convince me of this because I was in my prior life, I was a lawyer. I mean, I'm a ghostwriter for the firearms industry now, but I was a lawyer for 20 years and I did criminal defense and I was a prosecutor. So like I know everything that you're talking about. And this is part of the training aspect that's so important, that it's not just enough to buy a gun, buy a box of ammo, and throw it in your closet in case there's a problem. Like I don't want anyone to do that. Right. No. And then, but also too, it's like you have to have training about, like, if you're going to concealed carry, it's not just enough to get the concealed carry permit. Like you have to know, like when you're pulled over by a police officer, if you have a firearm on you, what do you say? You don't say, I have a gun, because what is every police officer trained on the range to say? Like, what is the signal? Gun, right? Exactly. Like they're trained. Oh, I draw and shoot. When I hear gun, draw and shoot. So you're just like, I'm 10 and 2. I am licensed to carry. What would you like me to do? Right? Like, but if you don't think that through, or you don't have people teach that to you, how are you going to know that? Like, you're going to get your information from TV and movies? That's not cool. That's not a good plan.
Right. That's cool that I didn't know you're an attorney for that on the other side. That's pretty neat. So, if you do any instructing or teaching or?
So no, I mean, the way that I look at it, no, I don't. I'm a writer now, and so I ghostwrite newsletters for firearms, in the firearms industry. I'm a writer for other things, and so, but I use that knowledge in my writing, right? So because I agree with you that, we have to educate people, and it's just a messaging problem. If more people knew about firearms, knew the statistics that you talked about, know that the people that like everyone thinks it's like Deliverance, right? Like everyone thinks that every firearms person is someone deep in the middle of the forest that is going to, if my car broke down, they would trap me in their basement, right? Like, and it's just not. 99.9999% of the people in firearms are not like that. And I can tell about what you're talking about, your range, is that the culture is one of the most friendly, helpful cultures of anything else that I experience. Like if I go to my range, the range master's coming over and he's helping me and I'm trying to like maybe zero a sight or whatever, and it's not working. And he's like, oh, well, let's see what you got. And it's just, everyone wants everyone to be safe. That's it. That's what everyone wants.
The firearm industry, believe it or not, most people don't believe this, but I have many, many friends that are attorneys, that are doctors, and every single one of them, and I kid you not, I don't know one that doesn't have a firearm or have firearm training. It's because they know one day they may have to use it, and they're there to protect their family. So they want to make sure they are educated enough and they are smart enough to have that type of training. They're not just going to do what you just said, buy a box, throw it in the closet. They want to be proficient with it. So just like driving a car, doing any other kind of task, you got to make sure you know how to do it, because it could be deadly if you do it incorrectly.
Well, and I think one reason, and I have that experience too, and one reason is because like if you have the normal world here, right, then in terms of like in the middle, there's a whole nother world that people don't know about, right? And that's of the criminal world. And there's all these things happening every night in every city that you live in that you have no clue, like you said, about like how home invasions or robbing or people casing different houses or whatever. And so if you're a fireman or you're a policeman or you're an attorney or you know about that world, and so you're like, oh my God, like I don't live where I think I live. And so then you go above the normal world and you go into the firearms world, right? And that's how you keep yourself safe. And that's why if we can get people to, and that's why this podcast exists, is to get people to see it's like you had a totally different experience to get to firearms, right, than anybody else. And so there's no one way to get into, you don't have to be in the military to be in a firearm. You don't have to be like me and grow up in North Dakota and you came from a hunting culture, right? Like you can just, your dad could be driving you to Disneyland, take you out in the field and shoot, right? And so what's kind of on the so it sounds like you got a lot of irons in the fire, right? What does the next 5 years look like for you? 3 to 5 years. Do you have any plans? Is it more just kind of status quo, or is there any
Oh
kind of thing,
yeah.
big things in the work? What are you guys thinking about doing?
Well, in the next 5 years, but what you're talking about too earlier was if you want to know how people get into firearms too, or you want to hear what's going on in your community, there's many sites out there, but they do not talk about what. Go to a gun store. We have people come in all the time. Well, I gotta buy a gun. I need to buy a gun. Whoa, 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 whoa! What happened? What? Three guys kicked in my door last night, and these stories happen all the time. And they go through, and they are terrified, and they said they don't want this to happen again. And we want to make sure. Look, this is a hard time. It's scary. You feel violated, but please get some training. Sit down with us. Let us help you and then help you figure out which firearm you need that works correctly for you because we all have different hand sizes and strength and all these things. So let us get you the one that you need and make sure you're proficient with it. And then you're going to feel comfortable and safe that you're not going to hurt yourself. And in the next 5 years, we're looking at, we have our new store opening up very shortly. It's called 2A Monster. Hopefully we'll get you some more news. I'll be on another podcast for that. And again, like what I talked about earlier, we're looking for that outdoor range for the kids training academy. It's called Kids Safety Academy Corporation. And that is what we're going to teach you how to do competitions, sports. So we have them do it here now. We train you on doing competition. It's not anything about defensive shooting at all. It's completely about moving through rooms and shooting all kinds of cool things and hitting moving targets and reloading and fixing malfunction drills. Just like anything on the competition world, we don't go into the 3-gun kind of competition world right now because of the shotgun thing. We do pistol and rifle with them. The big competitions now are 3-gun, but there's still other just pistol or straight up rifle competitions. So if they want to we're just teaching and educating them. So when they get out into the world, they go, oh, I want to go to this range and do this competition or this range. And we support all the ranges around here. And I try to get with the range and say, well, do you want to do a competition with like our kids against your kids? And they're like, we don't have kids shooting teams. I'm like, well, you should get one,
Right.
And they're like, I don't know. So, they think that they're a liability, but kids learn really fast. And once you get them under control where they are, they have to be focused. And we want to teach them about having honor and respect for these firearms. So the rest of their lives, that's how they're going to teach it. And that's how it was taught to me. So I've never had a discharge. I've never accidentally shot anyone or hurt anyone or myself. That's because we just follow the 4 safety rules. And if you can do that, anyone will be safe.
Yeah, well, and I think you touched on it too, where it's the important is teaching the history of it, right? And so like it's like it's a culture. It's like this is like an honor thing. Like this is important that you understand. Like there's is all these different parts of it, and it's better to be proactive than reactive. So when someone comes into your store, right,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, I just had this really emotional traumatic event, give me a gun, right? That is not the time to go learn how to use a gun. The time to learn to use a gun is right now. So it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter. It's like if you're afraid of the society's going to have some challenges and breakdown, if you're afraid of that there's going to be government regulation on 2A, if you're afraid of crime increasing or all those things that you think might happen in the future, it is not a wise move to wait until those things happen. And then, you don't have time. If you're not preparing now, it's almost too late, right? And if that's how you think. And so the
Right.
key, and that's a quote from somebody I stole named Joe Dolio, right? And if you're not preparing now, it's already too late. And so the key then is that there's like, you have to figure out what kind, like you said, like what kind of gun is your gun, because everyone has a different gun that they like for whatever reason. So like I'm a Glock guy, mostly because my firearms instructor that I take lessons from is a Glock guy, right? So and I was like, okay, well, I'm 6'4", it's a big gun, all right, great, whatever. But that's not true for everyone. Like some people are going to be a SIG person or something, or whatever. And so it takes time to go through all those things. And I think you hit the nail right on the head. It's like you got to be proactive.
Yeah, and if you really think about it, coming up in November, we have an election, and it's going to be a crap show, and it doesn't matter who wins. Either side is going to be crazy. You better be prepared for that. And I don't mean, oh, you have to freak out, be a prepper, and have guns and stack it. I mean, the Boy Scouts motto is always be prepared. And that's a great motto to have. You don't have to go crazy and spend your whole life savings and get things and dirt. You just need to be prepared to protect your family at all costs. And it doesn't hurt to have backup food, batteries, medicine, things that you may need for a 1 or 2 month period. It's just good nature to do that. Everyone should have that anyways. There's hurricanes, there's fires, there's earthquakes, there's all kinds of things and that you prepare for, but most people will not prepare for a home invasion or civil unrest. Well, the world has changed, and there's so many people here that are not here legally, and they don't have money, and they need to eat and take care of their family or their drug habit. So be prepared. Make sure you're doing what's right. And as for the gun portion, make sure you find that gun. I have people come in all the time going, I had this lady, I kid you not, she was in her 70s, and she said, they told me to buy this gun at some gun store. I don't even name it. I don't know why they would do that. And she said, I tried it and I just can't shoot it. And we were like, well, do you mind if I take it out? And she had a big 44 Magnum, and and she's never
The
shot
dirty,
gun, never even taken a class.
oh my God.
And I'm like, I can't, give you the money that you paid for this. See if they will, and maybe they'll exchange it. If they won't, I'll put you in something. I'll trade it for something that you're going to be able to hold, load, aim, and shoot correctly all day long and shoot. And I'll make the difference up for you. But go back and see if they'll trade it out or give you your money back for this thing.
Well, and all the people that I interview that are successful in this business, they are not transactional. And so what I mean by that is that they're relational, meaning that like every interaction they have with a customer or a potential customer is, how do I build the relationship, not really worry about the transaction? Let me get them into the right gun. It doesn't matter. Like maybe I've had this 44. God, I wish someone would buy this 44 that I bought that no one ever bought. It's been at my store for 7 years. Oh, great. This old lady doesn't know what she's doing. I'm going to give it to her. Right. It's like, it's the relational point, is because at the end of the day, and you just said it, we don't live in the same place that we used to live in. We don't have the luxury anymore of being transactional in the firearms industry. Everyone has to be relational. We all have to be advocates of some way, even if it's like, I'm going to donate $5 to this organization that's going to advocate for my rights, right? Like you don't have to open a gun store and run training for, like you were doing an amazing job. You're in like top 1% or 1% of advocates for firearms, right? You don't have to be that though, but you should consider doing something. And everyone's like, I just want to be left alone and shoot my guns. I'm like, yes, that's great. But if everyone takes that position, we're not going to be able to do that very much longer.
Absolutely. And here's just a message to the people that do have firearms. We have people, and I'm not making fun of anyone. People have been shooting for 10 years. There's officers, there's military people. They say they've been shooting for 10, 20. They go out on the range and they are teacupping the firearm, or they're crossing their thumbs. Please, even if you think you know how to shoot, even if you're hitting the bullseye every time, go take a lesson or a two to your local range from an expert to stay on the safety side and make sure you know what you're doing correctly. Because if you're training correctly, then you're going to advance. If you keep doing the same thing wrong over and over, you're not going to advance and get any better. And it could be even worse or unsafe to do.
Yeah, well, and also too is that you only have to do a little bit over time, right? Like you don't have to be Rambo in 5 seconds,
Sure.
right? But if you have an attitude where I'm going to go to the range once or twice a month, I'm going to take a lesson once or twice a month, or once every I don't even care. Take one lesson every other month. You're going to be safer, right? Or one class every other month, because the depth of firearms is you will never run out of things to learn. Because if you start to get really good with the shooting, okay, great. Are you in cardio shape that you can run if you have to? Like, or do you know how to do medical, right? Like I'm in my medical phase right now. So a lot of my training right
Great.
now is with concealed
That's
carry and
great.
medical, right? And it's like, are you, and that's the thing is like, are you more likely to get in a gunfight, or are you more likely to come upon like an accident where someone is hurt, right? And so you want to, and this is the thing is, which the information is power, but only if it's applied. Just like a gun is only useful if you know how to use it. It's just like information is only useful if you know how it's applied.
Right. And the medical thing, 100%. If you have a firearm, take a gunshot wound trauma class. You're going to learn CPR. You're going to learn how to pack a wound. You're going to learn how to save a life. Keep a trauma kit in your car at all times. So even if there's a car wreck, like you're talking about, you could save a life. And you're going to be a hero, and you're going to be a good guy. And someone for the rest of their lives is going to say, "That's the guy that saved my life. Thank you." They'll probably send you a birthday happy birthday every year or something, but be that guy, be that person that does good in the world. Just because you have a firearm doesn't mean that you're a bad guy. You are the good guy, and you're going to be the guy that stops a mass shooting, that stops someone from trying to hurt your family. Now, if you're that guy that has a gun and you're a road rage guy and pull out a gun, you don't need a gun. You need to actually mentally go in and get checked out and get your head back on. Your life should be all about being happy and working forward, and making a legacy for yourself and your family later in life. It's not about getting mad. If you let people get you mad, you let that person control you. Be that better person and laugh. When someone cuts me off in the road, I think, wow, they must be going home to save their kid from choking. That's what I'll think, because I don't want to think a bad thing about this guy. I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to allow these people to get me upset, because I'm going to control my own feelings. Be that person that's always under control and always has respect and honor for your firearm.
Well, and I totally agree with you, and I can't think of a better way to sort of end our discussion today. And I 100% want to have you on again, because I just love what you're doing, especially the stuff with the kids. And so I want you to hang on after we get off here for a quick second. But how do people find you if they want to contact you? Are you on social?
Yeah.
How do people find you? How do the people find your shop? Like, give me the run through.
All right, so we're Florida Firearms Academy on Facebook. You can see all of our funny videos, our parties. You can come to our parties for free. We'll give away $20,000 to $50,000 in ammo and firearms and free food. The last party we just had, we had the Kiwanis group here, the Chambers group was here, we had the SCA, we had the Fraternal Order of Police here, we had the judge was just here, and he was here this morning. He was at the party. There was just so many organizations that came out to support us, and all the money that we raised that day, we bought chairs for the church across the street. They didn't even know we were going to do this. They were so excited. When I showed up at church Sunday, I told him not to announce my name, but he said, "Hey, these chairs are so beautiful and comfortable." He said, "If you fall asleep during our service, we'll understand." It was kind of funny. So we try to do good back for the community, and that's what it's all about. I hope your gun store or gun range is doing the same, because you will get a whole network of people coming in, supporting you, and realizing that firearms are not just for horrible things. Other way you can reach us is that we're at 13317 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa, Florida. We are going to branch out, and if you ever want to contact, you can reach us at 813-221-FIRE. And I'm Thomas King. I am the CEO and owner. That is rare for many businesses to sit there and come out. You can come talk to me all day long. You can come talk to 20 of our different instructors. We have lady instructors. We have Girl with a Gun. We have all ladies tactical classes. Just a lot of cool different classes that we do. And you can also find us on our webpage at ffatampa.com.
Amazing. Well, again, I'm so excited that you came on the show today, and I'd love to have you on again.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it, and appreciate what you're doing too as well.
Appreciate it.